Hi, I'm Jin Feratov, an actor from beautiful Alberta, Canada. For the last 6 months, I had the opportunity to spend some time behind the cameras doing COVID safety on indie sets, and I learned a lot. Some things that I think you will find useful to keep your set safe, whether you're a crew member or an actor. So, let's dig in. The main reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is because I feel safety protocols that keep crew and cast members healthy are crucial to keep your set going. In fact, throughout all of the productions that I've been part of in the last 6 months, there has been at least one positive COVID case. But because the protocols we had were quite good, we stopped COVID from spreading and kept the production going. So I feel the COVID safety protocols did their job. And I feel that if we all do our part in keeping productions going, we'll have a healthy and happy set. So the most important number one tool in keeping a COVID safety set going is basically a mask. And I know this sounds basic, but I've seen a lot of people not using the mask properly. Because I have a beard, I feel that I need to protect the rest of my face, beard included, to stop spreading COVID if I had it. So this is what I do. I put on a double layer bandana, which means I have 4 layers of protection between my mouth and the outside. I tighten it and I make sure that it is definitely above my nose, quite tight here. There's no spaces anywhere. If you're using a bandana or a mask, this is crucial. If you're using your mask or your bandana like so, it's the same as if you were not using it. If you're using it under your chin, it's the same as if you're not using it. So my most important suggestion, use your mask at all times. Of course, you cannot eat or drink when you're using your mask. So the best practice is, if you're gonna take a sip or a bite, get your drink ready, pull your mask down, have a sip, and put your mask back on. Because the idea is you keep your mask on for as long as possible. If you're actually going to be chatting, regardless of the distance that you're from the other person or people, keep your mask on. That's the safest way. It doesn't really matter if you are having a film set indoors or you're shooting outside. The most important rule is, if you're not at least within 6 feet apart of someone, and that is, the length of an adult cow, you should always be wearing your mask, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's something physical or not. The only exception is, if you're an actor and you're about to go on screen, then you can remove your mask. But as soon as your scene is done, connect with the makeup department to make sure that you can put your mask back on. It's essential that you're not interacting with other people with your mask off unless you really have to. The other awesome tool that everybody should have on set is hand sanitizer. I prefer to actually have my own because I'm the only one that's touching it. But I've seen a lot of people sanitize like so. They pour a tiny bit of sanitizer and they do this. And that's it. That is not proper hand sanitation technique. The right way to do it is you put hand sanitizer and you rub the front, the back, and in between your fingers as well as around the fingernails to ensure that your entire hands have been properly sanitized. This goes to sanitizing before you eat, after you use the restroom, or most importantly, after each time you touch your mask, because this is what I've seen on set quite often. People have their mask on, as the mask starts riding down, people readjust it. Guess what? Your hands are now contaminated. So every time that you touch close or around your face, I suggest sanitizing. The basic idea is your mask stops any droplets from going on, but technically speaking, it could contain a lot of the virus load. So each time you touch your mask, your hands become dangerous. And so Sanitize all around, in between, and the nails. A third and equally essential tool to keeping everybody safe is a check-in process that you do before you set foot on set. That could be in the shape of a questionnaire or a check-in app where you're disclosing if you're experiencing any COVID-related symptoms, if you've been in contact with somebody that had COVID, if you have traveled outside of your province or your state, and if you are fully vaccinated or not. This is important even if you're going to be on set just for 10 minutes, because you're letting the COVID officer or the second AD or whoever's keeping track of that information know that A, you're safe to work on set, but also if you were on set, what date and time you were there. Because if there's any COVID positive cases on set, that check-in process keeps track of who was on set and when. So I've had a lot of people arriving on set and then thinking, oh, I didn't do my check-in. That actually causes a problem. So before you go on set, make sure that you answer that questionnaire or log in into that app and say that you're safe to work. The other thing is that that check-in process helps you to realize whether you should be on set or not. Sometimes you might have a tiny bit of a sore throat and you're thinking, should I be on set or not? And some people would choose not to disclose that in order to not to skip that day and keep working. Well, that is the wrong choice. My suggestion is, if you're experiencing even a mild symptom of COVID, communicate that to the person that's doing the check-in process. Whether it's a COVID officer like myself or an AD or whoever's keeping track of that. Because they should clear you to be on set or tell you, you know what, you better stay at home today and let's check your process throughout the day so we can make sure that if it was not really a symptom, you can come back to set. So don't skip on that check-in process because it's as essential as the mask and the hand sanitizer. You know how important it is to cross the T's and dot the I's. And when it comes to COVID on set, regardless of whether you're an indie set or not, if you have a COVID safety officer or not, you should have COVID protocols in place and you should have written copies that are communicated to your crew and cast and have a conversation at the beginning of your production discussing those protocols. So nobody has an excuse to say, oh, I didn't know we had those protocols or I didn't know that those protocols existed. The main reason is if you are using an insurance, if you have duties to your provincial or your state healthcare to report your different type of protocols, or especially if you're dealing with unions in terms of crew and cast, having protocols in place way before the production starts and adjust those protocols to follow the best practices of the industry and of where you are is essential to keep your insurance in place, your crew happy, and most importantly, have a cohesive plan as to what could happen if you have a positive case and scares, and are you going to pay people to go and get tested, and who does what. So don't skip on having those protocols. Even if you have a one-day shoot, ensure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted to keep COVID away from your production. I completely understand having a COVID safety officer might not be in your budget, and that is fine. However, do invest some part of your budget into personal protective equipment, such as masks, hand sanitizer, individually wrapped snacks, and individually packaged meals. That is essential not only to keep a place safe, but also let your crew and your cast know that you are interested and invested in their safety. Also, designate a person or several people that can rotate duties in terms of sanitizing frequently used surfaces and objects. People, share tools on set all the time. It's essential to sanitize those items several times a day. Imagine that you're saying, COVID is transmitted through droplets, everybody's wearing masks, that shouldn't be an issue. Well, guess what? There's other illnesses like the seasonal flu, rotavirus, whatever, that is transmitted more often through surfaces than droplets that come from your nose or your mouth. So you're keeping your crew and your cast safe from other contagions, and that is very important. So, invest in that. It's gonna pay off. I have to be honest, you are probably bored out of your mind, but you made it through to the end of this video. And I think it's important that every indie set and non-indie set has protocols in place to keep their crew and their cast safe and makes them understand that there's information that they should be aware of and communicate that information clearly. If you're not able to get a COVID safety officer, that is fine, but that doesn't mean that you can skip on having COVID safety protocols and actually put them in place every day that you are on set. Thanks a lot for watching, and keep rolling.